This message goes out to all of the Chinese. Please have a revolution in your country. This is the last moments before destruction, before Taiwan is invaded by the communist regime that has power over your nation. I'm pleading to all of the Chinese in the homeland and abroad to please come together against the party that is about to put the world in brink of nuclear war, that is about to put us trillions set back in semiconductor and electronics and a wave of economic destruction if Taiwan falls to the communist dictatorship. You have to topple this. There are more than 2 billion of you. You can have a revolution by tomorrow. You have to revolt and take down Xi Jinping. You have to take down the communist entity. Please, if you do not do this, you will be the biggest murderers in history. Dude, you do not want that title for your people. 100 million during the communist revolution, the Red Book, COVID bioweapon. Don't let Taiwan be a trigger for thermonuclear war. You guys can be a set for beacon of liberty and freedom if you just topple this. You will be the greatest nation. You will be like Taiwan was able to be a little island nation and have 90% of the semiconductor and be so much prosperous in GDP because of the liberty of its economic standards and politics. Imagine what China could be with that same model. It would surpass the United States because the United States is already on a central bank unconstitutional model. Almost similarly, if you think about it. So as the US needs to get rid of the central bank, China needs to get rid of the central CCP and Xi Jinping. There needs to be a revolution. There needs to be more synonymous squares. Free China. Xizhou Zhongguo. Xizhou Zhongguo. Free China. Topple the Xi regime that puts concentration camps, that puts social credit scores on you. You cannot even leave your own district, your own neighborhood, if you do not have a non-red social credit score. You have to scan your own face to leave your own neighborhood. If you are low enough, you have to go to concentration camps to get your points back. Concentration camps, just like the Chinese and the Soviets, do not become worse than the Nazis and the Soviets. China must be free. China, Xizhou Zhongguo. To all of the Chinese in the world, if you want to prevent the biggest economic disaster with Taiwan or the biggest nuclear world war that this world has, you think Taiwan will go easy? You think Japan will let that happen? You think all of the Asian countries will let that happen? Please, I ask all of the Chinese to please have your revolution, whether it's peaceful or whether it's something else. If you do not stop Xi Jinping, the dictator of the Communist Entity Party, there will be war with Taiwan.
The CIA has released videos aimed at recruiting Chinese officials. Now, this one, of course, coming through, depicts a junior official reaching out to the agency after being disillusioned that his work only serves the advancements of his superiors. Have a look at the video.
俗话说筑梦人生，可惜我是为他人之梦。这场梦中，我无法决定结局，我的命都由他人掌控。
Right, point number one, it's in Mandarin. I think they did it also again last year. It certainly is an active, quite a obvious attempt there to recruit disillusioned junior officials, or maybe even higher up the sort of intelligence, as the CIA really just looks to build its intelligence apparatus and just to try and figure out a lot more about their their strategic rival there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, these sort of efforts in some ways aren't a massive surprise, but the timing is sort of interesting to me, because the interesting thing about the trade war is that it has created the US and President Trump as a very obvious enemy to China. You know, while before perhaps there was this deep disillusionment, there was sort of real anxiety about the way that President Xi was leading the market and leading the economy. Actually, now we have shifted to this environment where local government officials, we've reported, also local businesses and big businesses are kind of unified under this somewhat nationalist fervor to try and combat Trump. So, yeah, question mark over just how successful these efforts will be, because they're really entering the fray at a moment where China arguably is becoming more united than it has been over the last couple of years.
Yeah, because of the efforts from the other side, ironically enough.
Exactly.
Right? And, you know, it's interesting because sort of the notion we get here is that China has more experience and information about the other side than the other way around, right?
Yeah.
And I think that really underscores. The New York Times, I believe, back a couple of years ago, did report that the CIA, well, that China was able to dismantle the CIA, at least as far as some of the apparatus there is concerned.
Yeah, and China itself has been, clearly flagging these heightened risks of recruitment. Even anecdotally, I know of friends who have traveled from the mainland to the US and have received and seen warnings about, don't be lulled into accidentally sharing state secrets, particularly, of course, if you work for an SOE or a state company.
Yeah.
And we have seen the MSS putting out statements more regularly warning of, attempts by both sort of US administration, but also other countries trying to recruit Chinese citizens, and warning against sort of the risk of that sort of surveillance.
There will be destruction. There will be economic chaos. These will be the last times of peace that we have. So if you use this time as proud Chinese people to end this oppression on yourselves and the world. If not, there will be nuclear fallout or trillions of dollars in a blockade with Taiwan. Taiwan is not worth it. Taiwan is not Ukraine. China is not Russia. China will go through with it. There are 2 billion people of you. Take a stand for your own liberty. Grow out of your collectivism, which has been your power, but now you need to find your individualism as free China. I hope this reaches someone out there, and I hope that the Chinese can come together and see what freedom could bring to your nation and to your society versus war of a unhinged empire that wants to grow further out. Please take heed, warning, and peace in the world. Free China.